Guys, you made it. Okay, this is the last concept we're going to cover for stats. And can you believe it? All right, I'm retarded. All right, so we're going to talk about correlation, regression, and predictions. Those are like some big words, but I promise you it's not as bad as the stuff that you've been learning. All right, so the purpose of this chapter, or this unit, is to figure out if something's related, to determine the strength of the relationship and the type of relationship, and then if it's related and the strength is high enough, then we can make predictions, which is really the point of statistics. All right, so you have the independent variable. That's what's controlled or manipulated. And then you have the dependent, and it's dependent on what was being controlled. Okay, so it's dependent on the independent. Normally, always, okay? The independent variable is the x value. I don't know why it jumps like that. And then the dependent is the y value. That's not like always 100% the case, but it's no, that's what normally happens. It's a correlation, just means like the relationship between two variables. Sorry guys. Just the life of a full-time student, a full-time teacher. You're just tired all the time, okay? Sorry. All right, I still love you though. All right, so and this is what like I was talking about. So you have correlation between two variables, and we're trying to figure out like how strong that correlation is, if we can use that correlation to make some predictions. However, sometimes the independent variable is not the x value, and sometimes it's the dependent is not the y value. All right, and so you would just take your data and like switch it. Right, so here's our example. Explain what the independent and dependent is in the variable above. So we have some students, 6 students, and they studied, and then like I guess this is a grade on a test. All right, so their hours of study can change. They control that. Like you control how much you study. And so since you control that, then that's the independent. Your grade depends on how often you study. So that would be the dependent variable. All right, this would be our y, and this would be our x value variables. All right, so we're going to take that data, the x and y variables, and we're going to make what's called a scatter plot. A scatter plot is just scattered dots, basically. And you can have several relationships from that. You can have a, excuse me, a positive linear relationship. So as x increases, y increases. As you study more, then your grade goes up, I guess. And just for your information, a perfect positive correlation has an R value of 1. I'm going to explain what R is in a few minutes. And then we have a negative linear relationship as x increases, y decreases. So for example, the more classes you miss, your grade's going to go down. So you miss more classes, but your grade goes down. And a perfect one has an correlation value R of -1. Right, then we have these two other ones. You have no correlation, which just means it's just scattered, it's totally random. That has a correlation R of 0. Okay, and then you have a couple others. You can have like a quadratic. This is a backwards, is a reversed downwards quadratic. And so when you look at like a quadratic, for example, we're going to look at the r squared versus r. We are just going to focus on this, and that guy. I'm just letting you know you can have more than linear. Hurricanes, for example, follow like quadratic reporting. All right, so to determine like what that scatter plot looks like, you are welcome to do it by hand. I don't know if I would necessarily suggest that, but your ability to use technology, regardless if it's a calculator that you might not need after this class, or like the computer, your ability to adapt to technology is pretty important. All right, so if we want to do scatter plots, what we're going to do is we're taking statistics. So to get this guy, you're going to go to Stat, okay, and then you're going to click on Edit, and then you'll type it into List 1 and List 2, okay. Then we're going to go for this guy. We're going to push second y equals, and so when you push second y equals, look here. All right, so that's what that looks like. Then you need to push enter, and that's when you get to this screen. So second y equals, and then push enter. And we need it to be on. We need this first guy selected, and we need list 1 and list 2. Sometimes if you put your data in other lists, you can put those there. Then this, we're going to push graph. If you cannot see the graph, you might need to switch the window. All right, and so my go-to is just 100 to 100, just so you know. But if you want to get closer, you can change it. All right, so we're going to use these steps, and we're going to do a problem. We're just kidding. And yeah, let's do this problem up here, right here. All right, so I'm going to go to this guy, and I'm going to put that in list 1 and that in list 2. So I go to Stat, and then Edit. All right, so I'm going to type in list 1, I'm going to type 6, 2, 1, 5, 2, 3. I hope you're doing this with me. It does you no good to watch me do it by myself, unless you just happen to love staring at me, which I'm pretty sure is not your favorite hobby ever. All right. So I'll put it in list 1 and 2. Ignore the fact that I have other stuff in the other list. Okay, and then I need to go to second y equals. Second y equals, I need to push enter. I need to turn that on. I need to make sure these guys say, oh, mine don't say list 1 and list 2. Mine says list 1 and list 6, which is weird, but okay. So list 1, I push second number 1, and then list 2, I push second number 2. Okay, and so now it says list 1 and 2. All right, and so you can't get off this screen. All right, and so what you need to do is you need to quit, which is second mode, and we're going to push graph. You can't see anything. All right, so I'm going to go into and push window right here. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and change it to negative 100, 100. Leave the scale at 1, negative 100, 100. Let's see if that helps. I'm going to push graph. Okay, and I can see it. So it's there. Let me give this a minute. Let's do this again. All right, so there we are, but you can't really tell too much. So maybe our window should be 0 to 100. And the reason I say that, or maybe our window should be, so here's our letters. And so our smallest number is 1. So maybe it goes from 0 to, I don't know, 25. Because our largest number is 6, and I just want to go a little bit more. And our y should maybe go to 0 to, your grade can't really be above 100. So I'm going to change my window to 0, 25. Keep it at 1, 0, 100. All right. And we push graph, and so that's way better. Okay, you got a little outlier over there sitting way down, but yeah, maybe I typed something in wrong. Let me double check. I did not, so we just have an outlier. No big deal. Okay, so that's the scatter plot. It's this guy. Okay, and it looks like, aside from this random outlier right there, there's a it goes up. Okay, there's a positive correlation. But we can't just say, hey, there's a positive correlation. We need to find that R value. Okay, and so to find the R value, correlation coefficient is known as the letter R. It goes from -1 to 1. -1 means a negative correlation. 1 is a positive correlation. Negative correlation might be the more money you spend, the less you have in your bank account. Okay, struggle's real, guys. All right, and then a positive correlation might be the more money you save, the more you have in your bank account. But the positive correlation might be the more you study, the better you get on a test. Or the more you exercise, the more you lose weight or something like that. Okay, and so it will always be between -1 and 1. It is sensitive to outliers, and so sometimes people take them out. We're not going to. We're just going to enter the stats. All right, so it's a random sample. It's linear, okay? Falls on a line. I'm not going to really give you stuff that's not a line. We're just going to use our calculator. There's a crazy formula. You are welcome to look at it in your book. It will freak you out. But sometimes the ability to analyze technology and what it says is a more valuable skill than using a complicated formula. All right, so if we want to get the R value, the first thing you need to make sure and do is this guy. And you only have to do it one time unless you have like your calculator does something weird or something. And so we're going to go to second 0. So second 0 is the catalog. Okay, and we're going to go down to the letter D. And we're just going to push enter, and it's going to, enter again, it's going to say done. All right, this ensures that we get our R values. All right, after we do that, now we can go here, and we can go to stat, calculate, stat, calculate, go down to number 4, push enter. All right, and then it depends. Like sometimes your calculator will do this, and so you need to do parentheses L1, comma L2 parentheses, or sometimes, second L1, sometimes your screen looks like this. This is the, right, and then we push calculate, and it gives us a whole bunch of stuff. If we don't have our diagnostic on, then it's not going to give us those two variables, and we're not going to be able to really analyze anything. Okay, for this course, we're just going to focus on R. All right, so we're gonna use those, and same thing. We're gonna do the scatter plot. We did that. He kind of looked like this with a random guy over here. And then we're gonna do the type of relationship. We think it's positive, but we need to determine the linear coefficient. Okay, so you're gonna go to stat, go over to calculate, number 4, then go type in L1 and L2, and then calculate, and it will tell us. So 0.44. I 5 6. Oh, I don't know what happened here. This is a different chart. 682, 286, 15. Come on. 43, 9, 74, 12, 58, 5, 90. Let me fix this, and then let's come back to this problem in the next video, because I was typed wrong. All right, I'll see you in just a second.